duplicate slide. No.
Not gonna work.
Okay,
Hello.
good afternoon and welcome to the August 17th Course of Corrections meeting. Courtesy of the floor, does anybody would like to speak? Come up, give us your name, where you're from, and we will record it.
My name is Matthew Flower. I'm from 2648 West Scenic Drive in Danielsville, Northampton County. I want to thank you for the opportunity to address you. I did come before the Greater Council earlier this month to express some concerns specific to courts and corrections, specifically our domestic relations section. I'm going to expand on those issues briefly, and then I will offer you some evidentiary documentation for your consideration. I talked about notice issues. On 8/14, Domestic Relations Conference... I'm sorry?
You have 5 minutes.
On 8/14, Domestic Relations Conference Officer 2, Stephanie Pachinka, testified on the record that there is no hard notice requirement for hearings and that defendants are given a 10-day courtesy. That's 10 days to gather documents, subpoena and serve witnesses, research legal issues at play, and prepare a case. It's wholly insufficient and prejudices a defendant to the degree that the average person has no realistic possibility of making a successful defense. I'd like to show you a document. Just pass it up. This is a motion for continuance. And as you can see, this document was mailed out on 7/25. The contempt hearing was scheduled on 7/6. So why did this notice sit for 18 days somewhere without being sent to the defendant? I also mentioned subpoena requests. So a subpoena took 18 plus days to be issued because domestic relations employees don't know the process, or even that subpoenas for domestic relations cases come from the domestic relations section. If there's only a 10-day courtesy, then most defendants will be de facto precluded from successfully compelling witnesses to appear and testify, or to compel the documents that they need for hearing. All right, to that end, I have another document that I'll give you here. This is interactions between employees of the domestic relations section and a defendant about subpoenas. And they claim that they don't issue subpoenas, they don't serve subpoenas, they don't know anything about subpoenas. But under law, they are the only agency that can issue these subpoenas. That's very concerning. I also want to talk a little bit about the garnishment process. Title 23, Section 4348, governs the garnishment process. Specifically, subsection E talks about the attachment process and the notice requirement. Defendants are required to be given notice of the amount to be withheld, that the attachment has occurred or shall occur in all cases within 10 days of issuance, and notice of how and when the order may be contested. On 8/15, Janine Orlando, conference officer, testified that she is not familiar with Title 23, and that to her knowledge, the attachment process is not used in Northampton County. What that tells me is that we have a garnish process that does not follow established law. That means we have garnishments in effect today, and for who knows how long, that are not legal. How many people have been impacted? How many dollars have been illegally garnished? The court may also order termination in the following circumstances. One of those circumstances is that the result will be unconscionable, not right or reasonable. So I ask you, is it not unconscionable to violate the protections provided by the self-support reserve by garnishing the wages of those individuals who already fall at or below the federal poverty level? The second to last issue I have for you is untimely docketing. The first document I want to present is a docket entry from the Superior Court of Pennsylvania. This is a conviction that was vacated, and the Civil Division of the court accepted the record in March of 2021. What's particularly interesting is that the docket on the Northampton County side, up until 8/14 of 2023, still showed that conviction.
You got 30 seconds.
I have here a final document that shows the corrected docket on 8/14/2023, only 886 days after the record of receipt by the Northampton County Civil Division. This is completely unacceptable. I do realize I am out of time. I do have one more issue, and if I cannot get that today, we can talk about that at another time.
You're out of time.
Thank you very much.
With that courtesy of the floor, I'm just going to explain that what you come to us with is out of our preview. It's actually a judicial issue. And since I have two judges here, I'm sure they can correct us on what level, if any, we have over domestic relations. If I'm correct, we have zero. Courts and Corrections has no jurisdiction over that at all. So unless I'm wrong, I would like one of them to address me. This is not an issue we can deal with. Is that correct?
That is correct. The filing issue, we can address that, because that would be a process of operations. Is that, Judge?
It's a county issue.
Yeah, the filings, yeah, that's, but we can look at that, but everything else is under the courts. And I did draft a letter to this council explaining that I did view Mr. Flowers' presentation the last time he was here. I believe all of you received that, is that correct?
Yes.
And I also sent a copy, certified copy to Mr. Flower. I don't know if you received that. Did you receive that, Mr. Flower?
I have not.
There you go. You can have it right now.
Thank you very much.
So I did address that. So our position is he has redress under appellate rights. He can appeal anything he feels to the appellate courts if he feels he was wrong. And he has used that in the past, and he's a litigant before domestic relations at the present time. So I feel it's inappropriate for this council to address this right now. You don't have a purview respectfully over the courts. So he has the rights, what he knows he can do. Mr. Spadoni, you received a copy of that? I did. All right, and Mr. Myers, I know Ms. Zimbo said she gave you a copy as well.
I did. I looked at it.
Okay.
And so we have nothing we can do about this point.
We should move forward.
We're going to move on with it, all right? Thank you for giving us that time. We're going to move on to a presentation of Veterans Court, and I think that's you. It's Judge Latfolk. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, members of council. I'm so happy to be here. I believe you know Stephanie Spencer-Stewart, who's our problem-solving courts coordinator. We are so excited to be here to talk about Veterans Court, which is my first project as newly appointed administrative judge of problem-solving courts. Previously, they were led very competently by Judge Daly, who's here. I have big shoes to fill. He's our president judge now, so I have taken over problem-solving courts. And my first thing that I wanted to accomplish, which I'm really passionate about and really excited about, was to establish a Veterans Court. I am married to a veteran. Bob Sledvold served in the United States Army for many years. I have a lot of family members who are veterans, and in my 10 years on the bench, a lot of veterans have appeared in front of me in various states of peril. So this was something I absolutely wanted to address. It was my top priority, and we've done it. So we are so excited to be here to share it with you. And the great news is we're not asking you for anything. So this is just informational, and we hope that you feel as excited as we do about our Veterans Court. Ms. Stewart has prepared a really wonderful PowerPoint for you, so I'm going to give her the floor to give you the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you so much.
You might want to load a microphone for her.
I'll take care of that.
I'm going to shut up.
Thank you very much, Judge Lippold, and it is a pleasure to be here and be able to walk you through our new Northampton County Veterans Court program. This is a very brief PowerPoint that kind of goes over, it's a broad overview, so let me just, and I apologize, today we're having a little trouble. We tried to set this up in the typical view. We had a little bit of difficulty with it, and in fact, we're just going to click on the next slide over here. With our mission statement, I'm not going to read it to you, but generally, well, perhaps I will. It's the mission of the Northampton County Veterans Court to provide veterans who've dedicated themselves to serving our country and are intersected with the criminal justice system the opportunity to address their criminal conduct and their treatment needs in a court-supervised, community-based setting designed to promote public safety, health and welfare, strengthen our community, and to reduce the burden on the county's prison system. By providing the treatment, intensive supervision, case management, mentoring, and access to community services, the Northampton County Veterans Court is designed to help participants address their needs and develop the skills necessary to achieving and maintaining wellness and stability and eliminating or reducing recidivism. So this is in the same vein as our recovery court and our mental health court, which were established in April of 2015 and have been very successful. It gives community-based, highly supervised programs like this give people the opportunity to address their problems in a real-world setting versus trying to obtain treatment in the prison system, and then coming out not knowing how to apply those skills. The goals of the Veterans Court are to connect veteran participants with eligible VA benefits, treatment, and veteran-specific support services if they're not already hooked up with those things, to reduce the use of incarceration to address the criminal conduct of veterans, to ensure access to and to foster engagement in treatment and services to meet individual needs. And that's something that the regular reinforcement hearings before the court really drives home for them, because they're not on general supervision, they're seeing the court every other week. They have more accountability in a program like this. And also to assist veterans in reestablishing themselves as productive members of their communities. The program is open to participants with new pending charges and/or parole or probation violations, because very often you'll have somebody who might be applying on both. They might have a prior case that they were on probation or parole, and then they reoffend. Well, they'll be eligible in either circumstance. It will be a diversionary program, meaning that upon successful completion, their charges or their violation will not be prosecuted. The eligibility requirements. A participant will have to be 18 years of age or older, a Northampton County resident with a record of service in any branch of the United States military, and applying on a criminal docket pending in Northampton County. There is a caveat to that, because we have over 100 problem-solving courts in Pennsylvania, and we have a very cooperative system whereby if somebody is, say, a Lehigh County resident and they offend in Northampton, we can transfer supervision. And so that's another avenue to admission. they have to be seeking voluntary entry into the program, because certainly there's going to be a lot asked of them. There are a lot of benchmarks that they have to meet. They have to remain engaged in their treatment. They have to come to court. They have to engage with their supervision. And so they have to have a willingness to do that. They have to be, of course, competent and have a criminal history devoid of any disqualifying offense, which takes me to the disqualifying offenses. There are, of course, the more serious crimes that generally across the board in our problem-solving courts aren't appropriate for a community-based program, and they're listed there. We're designing this to be a 5-phase program to be completed within 18 to 24 months, and that is exactly how our recovery court is designed. Having been with that court from the beginning, I can tell you that a lot of people complete within 18 to 24 months. A lot of people are super seniors, you know, they take a little bit longer to complete. So you're not cut off, but we've had to extend people's sentencing. Well, in that case, we sentence people into the program in the recovery court, so that won't be an issue here. Individual program goals, programs are going to be very individualized to the person. So their goals, every individual's goals, will be determined from needs-based assessments. So whereas in, say, recovery court, everyone is participating in a recovery-based program whereby they're going to SUD treatment, or everybody in mental health court is accessing mental health treatment. In this court, we may have people who are doing both. We may have people who are doing one, the other, or something else. Every participant will be assigned a veteran mentor. And we're very excited about partnering with veterans in the community to provide that mentorship. And a veteran mentor is someone who is a veteran and is willingly there to provide support to participants in our program. We were fortunate to go up a couple of weeks ago, court administrator and Judge Leffold and myself, to Lackawanna County, where we got to meet their veteran mentors and observe their court. So we're really interested in the opportunities that we have there and the linkages that we can forge in the community. Every participant will be served by a representative of the Veterans Administration Justice Outreach Program, the VJO, the Veterans Justice Outreach Program. When we were in Lackawanna County, we met with them, and they're very excited about us having a veterans court. We're going to be assigned their Veterans Justice Outreach Program Specialist, Lori Miller, who's committed to coming down here every other Thursday and participating in our meetings. So we're very excited about that. Every participant will have a specialized probation officer, just like our other two programs. They'll have a designated probation officer who is, providing more intensive supervision than one would receive on general supervision.
And she's a veteran also.
Yes, she is.
She's a veteran.
Yes. So every participant will also appear before the court for regular reinforcement hearings. It says here, weekly reporting to the court and probation officer. That's alternating because this program is going to be, reinforcement hearings will be held bi-weekly. It's going to run concurrent with our mental health court program, which is, court hearings are held on Thursdays, every other Thursday, running opposite the arraignment schedule. So this program is going to run on that schedule. And then on the weeks that our participants are not appearing in court, they'll be meeting with their probation officer. In phase one, they're expected to begin to engage in treatment and services, engaging with their veteran mentor, complying with supervision, and there's going to be a minimum of 60 days in the phase. In phase two, it's building. So in each of the 3 phases, we're building. So in phase 2, we're looking for not less than 14 days of sobriety, if that is an issue for that person. Engaging in a recovery network, such as NA, AA, Smart Recovery, self-help type programs. Engaging in pro-social activities, and we're fortunate to have some entities in our county that provide pro-social activities specific to veterans and specific to people in recovery. So, and actually specific to people with mental illness. So we have a lot of resources out there, and we're beginning to reach out and make those connections with, in particular, Synchronicity Recovery Foundation, with Battleborn, and we're going to be reconnecting with NAMI as well. So in phase 3, the reporting, if things are going well, will be a little bit reduced. They'll have a requirement of 30 consecutive days of sobriety and a minimum of 120 days in the phase. In phase 4, we're looking for them to, if they haven't already, obtain employment, job training, or other such activity, engaging in ancillary services, whatever those may be for the individual, and 120 days in the phase. And then finally, in phase 5, we're looking for 60 consecutive days of sobriety, minimum of 120 days in the phase. So as people progress through the program, we're looking for them to have achieved stability, that we're looking for them to have completed treatment or continuing to engage in treatment as may be necessary, and beginning to move on to other aspects of their lives. In terms of graduation requirements, people will be expected to maintain engagement in treatment and services, maintain compliance with supervision, remain engaged in pro-social activities, engaged in recovery network, maintaining employment, job, education training, or education job training. And then to develop a continuing care plan and submit it to the court for review and approval before they can graduate. So that's a basic outline of the program. Do you have any questions for us?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Sounds like a wonderful program. Thank you. A couple questions. The mentors, they're not a paid mentor. They're volunteer, correct? Or are they?
Yeah, they're all
paid?
volunteers. They're all volunteer veterans, yes.
Are you guys going to do anything with like a training session, or is there requirements for these mentors? I mean,
Yes.
other than being a veteran, but I'd imagine you have some kind of program set up for them.
They will absolutely be trained because their role is so critical to what we are doing. And there are the community partners that we are meeting with will engage that training process for us. You can speak more learnedly on that.
There is through All Rise, an organization formerly known as National Association of Drug Court Professionals, recently rebranded as All Rise, and their veterans branch, they have an established program for veteran mentors to complete. So our veteran mentors, before our court opens and before they're being assigned to a veteran, will go through that program.
That's great.
In Lackawanna County, I can tell you, their volunteers were so impressive. They are so invested with helping the veterans. So I really feel good about that aspect of things.
Outside looking in, I would think the mentors would be important in this process.
Critical.
One last question. It's only for Northampton County residents, and you kind of addressed this. You said, like, if it's Lehigh County, they have a court. Does, like, Monroe and Bucks County, I mean, if we get a neighbor that commits a crime, a veteran that commits a crime in Northampton County, does all our neighboring counties have a program, or no?
Some do. They're kind of scattered throughout the state.
They are. And in fact, I use Lehigh as an example, but I was thinking more if we were
You got to get close
supervising.
to the mic because we're.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was so loud, so I thought, oh gosh, I'll just stand over here and they'll be able to hear me because I'm so loud. I'm not as loud as I think I am. Sorry about that. so Lehigh wasn't a particularly good example because they do not have a veterans court. But say somebody were a Northampton County resident, they offended in Lehigh, they're a veteran, then we could accept supervision of those charges and put them in our veterans court. So the veterans courts are they're spread throughout the state. So it's not always that our neighbors, unfortunately, have the programs that allow a transfer into their county. But maybe we're accepting transfers, of Northampton County residents who have offended in other counties. Maybe we have a Northampton County resident who has offended in a county that has a veterans court program, and then we can transfer.
Okay. Hey, maybe it catches on and our neighbors will follow the lead, then
I
it won't
hope
be an
so.
issue.
I absolutely hope so. Our goal is to help as many as we possibly can. I don't ever want to put another veteran in prison. I don't ever want to do it. I do not. And I hope I don't have to. What other questions can we answer for you?
All right, since I'm the only veteran sitting here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your service.
Where do you plan on tapping to find the veterans at? Are we going to go to the VA that we have in Lee, up in Allentown? Or where are we going to use Alex is our representative for Northampton County, or how are we going to get these folks out to even know that it's going on?
So if I understand your question correctly, first, our primary partner right now is the United States Veterans Administration, and we have our representative, our VJO, that we met in Lackawanna County, and they're out of Wilkes-Barre.
Yes.
The county has wonderful resources for veterans, separate and apart from what we are doing.
Okay.
I know that our county executive is utterly and completely committed to our county's veterans. And we come in, if they've taken advantage of those resources and still somehow find themselves in the criminal justice system, or have never taken advantage of those resources and find themselves in the criminal justice system. So what the county is affording for veterans, which I support and endorse, is separate and apart from what we are doing, because the critical difference is you don't get involved with us unless you've been charged with a crime. And then we step in to try to help get them back on their feet and functioning and connect them with the resources that they need. I hope that answers your question.
It does. But I'm still trying to figure out, you say you're using folks out of Wilkes-Barre that we can bring down here to help, or are we going to use local folks?
The VJO they are in 18 counties, and they do an amazing job of getting around those counties to the veterans courts in those jurisdictions, and they are committed to quite a schedule. I'm very impressed by what they do, because they really, really travel around to the counties that they serve, and they are committed to being with us every other Thursday morning. So that is wonderful, and they're a terrific resource. And in fact, I recall early on in mental health court in particular, we had a veteran. One of our very first participants was a veteran, and the VJO was involved at that time. So it's really exciting to have them come back in a new partnership with our Veterans Court.
And to answer your question also, the mentors, the volunteers, they will be local. Just the VJO is stationed out of Wilkes-Barre, but everybody else that is in daily contact with our Northampton County veterans and our program, they will be local and accessible to our
What tool are
veterans.
we using to get veterans that can be eligible for it?
So they would need to apply. If they are part of the criminal justice system, then they can apply themselves. Their attorney can help them apply. If they do not have counsel, they can make their own application, and the court can also refer them. So if a judge on my bench has a veteran in front of them who is in some kind of criminal trouble, they can refer them to us, and we will review their eligibility.
And then a mentor will be set up with them?
Yes.
And that mentor is going to come from where is my question?
They're volunteers, and.
Now,
yeah.
okay, I got that part.
Yeah.
How are we going to get it out to the people in Northampton County that might want to be veterans?
Well-
That are veterans, that could be a role model or somebody that can be used as a mentor is my question.
There you go. So a critical part of why we are here is to generate publicity for our program, so that our community leaders, such as yourselves, can tell people about our program, and that helps spread the word. We put a press release out to all the papers to let people know of interest. I will be speaking with Ms. Stewart at various veterans groups in the upcoming months to let them know and get some volunteers through them. And we expect a very strong response. And we have meetings with community partners set up for the next couple of months also. So that is definitely a work in progress. And I will, did you have anything to add to my answer?
No, the only thing I was going to say was with respect to applications, and that will very much follow the same process that the Mental Health and Recovery Court has, where we're going to be making a presentation to the Criminal Defense Bar, hopefully very soon. That we're still in the process of setting that up to let them know. Chris Williamson from Northampton County Prison is our liaison for Recovery Court, and he is putting me in contact with Thomas Herstich, who is himself a veteran and will be helping identify people who are incarcerated and interested in applying. So we have a lot of people that we're reaching out to. Of course, the DA's office, probation, a lot of our referrals come through those sources. And also from the court. So it's really, we're in the process of getting the word out so that just like those other two courts, people know about it, people are making referrals. And one of I mentioned earlier that we're going to be involved with Battleborn, which is a local veteran service organization, and we are going to be setting a meeting up very shortly with them. They're very excited, and I think that they're going to be a great resource initially for identifying veteran mentors.
Okay, because my brain's just going at 100 miles an hour at this point right now. Yeah, I'm thinking about homeless guys that are here, and how do we get to those, and then how do we reach these folks? So you have organizations like Project and Easton that are associated with various religious groups that you can reach out to them and see if they have someone in the well that they could probably want to join that organization. And there's various churches, so I think that's something else you can lean on. But I'm excited to hear that you're going a step further than most folks with this Veterans Court. As a veteran who's seen some guys fall through the cracks on some silly stuff, it's a huge brass ring they can hold on to, and I appreciate the fact that you're doing this. And is there anybody else have any other questions about this? At this point right now, I have nothing but praise, and anything we can do from our end besides spreading the word, if there's any contacts you need from us, if we can furbish, I'm more than willing, and I'm sure members of council will join in helping out any way we can. I appreciate you bringing this presentation to us. It's very important.
Thank you. We really appreciate that, and we look forward to any conversation with any community partner that wants to have a conversation with us. They can get in touch with my office, they can get in touch with Ms. Stewart, they can get in touch with our Office of Court Administration, and we look forward to all those conversations with the community partners. Did you have a question?
Your mic.
I thought I was loud too. Again, will this PowerPoint be available for us? I
Sure.
apologize that I was late.
Absolutely, we can, I think you have it, and you're welcome to use it however you want.
Okay.
Yeah, we provided it to
okay.
you, and it's all yours.
Do you have a pamphlet or anything like that you're
We
going to
don't,
acquire?
but we can. What we're doing is we have program documents that are currently under review, I think by the President Judge. I've reviewed them, I've approved them, and as soon as our program documents are up and running, we're happy to provide those to you also. They're not pamphlet form, they are all the program documents for participants.
Right.
But we will talk more about that, because I like that
Yeah,
idea.
because
Yeah, I like it.
We have a community day
Yes.
in October, I believe.
Wonderful.
And
Yes.
that seems like a great opportunity to be able to table at that
agree.
event and raise awareness, because it's,
Great idea.
yeah, it's an inter-county function.
We're going to talk about that.
We will have,
Oh, I got ideas.
I like it.
we will have pamphlets, we'll have documents, and I think we'll be there.
Well, thank you for your words of encouragement and support. I know that it's a cause that, everyone can get behind, and I really do appreciate it. We all think our veterans are exactly what they are, which is our greatest national resource.
I believe it's October the 14th is our date for that.
I believe it is too, but
I just
do
looked on my
wanna say-
calendar, so I marked it, so that's October the 14th.
Wonderful.
We'll be there for that. And I appreciate all the presentation that come from your
Really
time.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
But we're not going to we'll let you get away, but we're going, at this point, I'm going to introduce President Judge Daly, who's here, and ask him to come up and if he wants to add anything else to it, and congratulate him on this appointment. Yeah, I caught you off guard.
All right, thank you very much. I don't know if you have anything for me, but I appreciate your recognition, acknowledgement. I didn't really come here prepared to speak about anything, but just to listen.
We just wanted to congratulate you on your
Thank you
appointment.
very much.
I think Ms. Varyahavna might have something to say.
Hi.
Sorry I'm late, I really am, I was double booked, but I'm in full support of what you're doing. I reached out to Jermaine last week and I wanted to take some time to talk with you, and we don't have to do it here, but I'm on the Courts and Corrections Committee of CCAP, and gee, guess what the hot topic was? Juvenile justice
Yes.
systems, and how we don't have beds, and everyone is aghast at that there's no beds, and how can we do this? And so we had a very lengthy discussion last week.
Is your
And I
mic
said,
on?
Yes.
Is your mic?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was on. I'm not repeating myself.
And-
You know, but so they were preaching to the choir, but also I'm preaching to you as the choir. But we talked about, I think there's only 6 or 7 left in the state.
Right.
And most of them are here on the East Coast. I think there's one in Chester. We have one. So, you know, we're poised to be able to really be helpful to our friends and neighbors.
Right.
But what do we need to do to continue to help you right this ship? Because we're as you've stated very aptly to us, we're missing opportunities here. And there's no beds for these kids.
And Mr. Green is involved in that, and there's an upcoming meeting.
There's a meeting in Lackawanna County, actually, at the Department of Public Welfare. They invited me to participate in that meeting to talk about that. They want to talk about regionalization and the lack of beds. So it's the same type of conversation I had over at Lehigh County that I, notified this council about, that they were willing to supply us with money to make sure we had these beds. Because it's just not a Northampton County issue, it's a state issue and a national issue. But we have a resource that we can be using. And I've been saying this for 19 months, you know that. So I'm still diligently working to make sure we preserve the Northampton County Juvenile Center.
And again, I'm not here to be inflammatory in any way, but just hearing like that we have one where people, like, there's nothing in the Northwest.
Correct.
There's nothing. And that doesn't mean that there aren't constituents who need the services, that they, and when I think about how it needs to be a family-based program and that we have that available, there's nothing there for
Yeah,
them.
Judge Daly and I just got a report from Philadelphia County that the judges down there, if you're sending a kid to a state facility, it's 2.5 years wait to get a bed. So they've ordered these kids on electronic monitoring. They're going back in the community, and it's a community risk. So a lot of the judges in Philadelphia County are releasing these kids, and it's the only option they have. So there's a waiting list of 2.5 years.
So the problem still is personnel and salary.
That's, yes.
And that was across the board,
across
echoed
the
at
board.
the Commissioners Associate. It was, with all of these human services type positions and that as well. We're not unique to that.
No.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'll defer.
Mr. Lott?
While we're on the subject, personnel, how have we been able to hire? How many have we hired this year?
I talked to Mr. Billman. We have hired 4 more people who've come in recently. So they have come in, and with the promise that they know they're in negotiations, so they're hopeful that the salaries are going to go up. So one thing about the juvenile center, that personnel is resilient. They are really resilient, and I praise them. They are the backbone of our facility, and they keep going at it. So they're hopeful that negotiations are going to go through. I received a report about the negotiations, and this was from Mr. Billman that he got from one of the shop stewards there, Matt Desch, that I guess there was 2 negotiations. One was canceled, and I guess there's one scheduled for September 20th now. That's the 3rd one, and if that doesn't work, it's going to be in the hands of the, I think they said the 3rd arbitrator, who's a neutral arbitrator. So we're looking at September, so that means to me November or January. So I don't know. Like I said, we've been waiting a long time. So by the time it's going to be 2.5 years that I've been up here talking to you about this.
Wasn't there a June meeting that was canceled?
No, the June happened. That was the first one. June 29th, I believe it was. That happened. And then there was a second one that just happened yesterday because one was canceled before that time. It happened yesterday. And now there's a third one for September 23rd, I believe. So it just keeps going on. So, but that's out of our control. It's into the arbitrator's hands now.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Kevin. If you can continue.
Yeah, just on the hiring of those 4 people this year, I assume that's been lately. You had mentioned that you were going to start working with HR.
We
and
have.
hiring.
We have.
Has these 4 people come, has that been fruitful?
Some, half came from HR and half have come from the referrals we've had at the Juvenile Center, Mr. Billman had. But definitely, working with Sherry Chrisman and Ms. Cabali's team, absolutely. It can't hurt, you know, and they poured a lot of resources into helping the Juvenile Center, and we appreciate it. Like I said to you, Mr. Lai, I said, if anything can help, I'll try it. If you can get me bodies there, I will try it, and we have. So thank you for that question.
Thank you.
But just as an example, our census right now is what?
Right now, Jamar told us in treatment, I believe it's 12 right now in treatment right now.
detention?
And detention, we were at 18.
And our capacity?
18, 36 in detention, and we could have 48 in treatment. And Judge Murray actually, because he was just appointed as the administrative juvenile judge by Judge Dally. So he did a tour at the facility, and he came back to me, he said, Jermaine, it's really sad to see all the empty beds. And I have kids that need to go there, and I can't send them there at this point. And he said it's really sad seeing what's going on.
The other point that they made, where we are lucky but unlucky to not have these folks, is that most people only have the detention. We
Correct.
have the opportunity for the treatment.
Correct.
And most places don't have that.
That's right.
So they're craving that piece to get filled. So if there's any other way to find staff or be creative in staffing for treatment.
And we've been talking about that, Ms. Fargo, Hefner. We're trying to be creative and see what we can do, and we're going to exhaust all avenues. We are, as you know.
And we're utilizing staff that's certified, it's like probation officers and the
Yes.
like, to fill in for weekend duty and the like. So we don't have to mandate as much overtime.
I just had a quick question. So in terms of the scheduling of the negotiations, is that typical that they're spread a month apart?
I have no idea. I'm not involved in that, Ms. Zirinsky, so I have no idea. I can't answer
Oh,
that.
you've never gone through these negotiations before?
I have gone through them before, but I'm not privy to them at this point.
That's a county function.
Yeah.
Right, but you've been privy to the scheduling of them, like you've known what the scheduling is, right? Or no?
No.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know if this was on a normal trajectory at this point. I mean, I know that you've come in several times and you've talked about the 19 months, and it does seem like the speed of government has never been fast. And
Yeah, I could say nothing about this whole situation is normal at this time. It just keeps going on. And, you know, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm not doing that. I just want to find a solution here.
yeah,
That's all I want to
of course.
find.
So the
why
third
I'm-
negotiation, what is the hope of that? What's the positive outcome that could come out of that?
Higher salaries that are competitive to attract people to stop going to Amazon and Wawa for
Right.
$20 an hour when we're expecting to go to the juvenile center, 24/7 facility with juvenile delinquents. You know, we got to have competitive salaries.
Right. So you're hoping that the salaries go up, and then they will not have to have the neutral arbitrator. So
I hope.
the goal would be that you reach settlement in September, and that those positions could be filled when?
As soon as possible. Yeah, as soon as possible, absolutely.
All right, that's good to know.
And utilizing what Mr. Lotta mentioned about your human resource department here as well, as our efforts.
Absolutely.
Well, I know my neighbor talked to me about it, and I referred him. I don't know if he actually went, but, you know, I know people do talk about going to the Juvenile Justice Center from other positions that they've had elsewhere.
Right.
Like Concern or Treatment Trends or something like that. Maybe they just want to work with a different population. So sometimes people just want to work with different populations and you recruit from other places where people are leaving,
Yeah.
you know?
No, absolutely.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I thank you.
We'd like to come back with a presentation from Judge Murray on a new
Yeah.
program that we have developed down in the juvenile.
Okay,
justice.
so you want to go next month?
Yeah, we had that scheduled with Linda, but it's the school reporting programs. So juvenile probation will be doing that. But I wanted to wait till school got back in, so then you get a better picture of it, because I think it's an appropriate time. So,
Jermaine, you want to do this, the third Wednesday in September?
September?
I'll get back to you. I want to coordinate.
Either
with-
that, the Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, I'll coordinate with Judge Murray and the probation department,
Okay.
and I'll get back to you.
All right.
Okay.
'Cause if it's the third Wednesday, I know we have personnel finance plus capital projects, and then we could have courts and corrections, or we could have it on the following Thursday
Okay.
with courts and corrections at 3:30.
All right, I'll let you know, Linda. I'll coordinate with you.
Okay.
Or we can have Gina. Gina, come on up. This is my new associate court administrator, so I want to formally introduce her to you. And you guys know Gina Gibbs, formerly clerk of Orphans Court. So she is now working with court administration for the last 2 weeks, and she's been a blessing. She's been a blessing because
She's been a blessing because she's had to work with you.
she's been a blessing for me because I've been doing double duty for 5.5 months.
Welcome.
So,
But we're excited, Judge Murray's excited to tell you about a new program that
Yes.
with this diversionary program at school-based. And, we're excited about getting that implemented.
And then we have the mental health thing that now that Shiloh's opened up their thing, and how's that working out for the courts? Or you have anything
we
yet?
have a presentation, I believe on the 25th with mental health. So they're going to update us on that.
So there hasn't been any referrals made.
No
from the
referrals
court
yet. No, I haven't gotten any referrals.
Okay.
But it sounds like a great program. It's
Yeah.
much needed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we thank you for coming here and giving us the presentation on the veterans, and I thank you for that, and any updates you can give us, and whatever we can help you with, I don't know, as far as personnel, because we got to be careful. If there's any way we can help expedite getting you more people, we will sure be willing to do that. If we have no other questions for them, we'll move on to the next item.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
We have an update on court services and records of deeds. Is there someone here from here? Steve Barron?
I'm not quite sure what council was interested in about the Recorder of Deeds office, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I didn't realize that was under your purview.
Since I started,
So I received a letter from a constituent regarding the status of Recorder of Deed cover dates.
yeah, from,
We're in a bind again with the Recorder of Deeds cover date in Northampton County. We get the attached cover date report, which I could get for you, for all 67 counties in PA Weekly, and every week Northampton County is the only county that is 2+ months behind. Lenders will no longer accept our title work for Northampton County properties, so they are now requiring gap coverage letters from our underwriters to cover the unconfirmed period. When that happens, the underwriters contact the Oversight Committee of PLTA and they get involved. Years ago, they sued Northampton County to force the Recorder's Office to get up to date. Lehigh County has a similar number of submissions of documents to be recorded daily, and their cover date is within 1 week, as are the majority of counties in PA. When we're faced with this situation, lenders are unable to close loans without additional documentation, which slows the real estate transaction process in a market that does not tolerate delays. In addition to the Recorder of Deeds, the Assessment Office is also the only tax office in the greater Lehigh Valley that we have dealt with who still only provides tax certifications through the U.S. mail unless we physically go to their office to get the tax certifications in person. Even the smallest municipal tax collectors will fax or email tax certifications. Lehigh County provides them online, so we just log on and access them ourselves in real time. The current real estate market has real estate agents writing contracts to close in 2 weeks, which is impossible to achieve if we have to wait for the U.S. mail to deliver our request to the assessment office, them to process that request and send it down to the mailroom at the courthouse, and then wait for the U.S. mail to send it back. Lenders and investors from across the country describe the systems here as archaic and routinely express frustration at doing business here because nothing can be done online in real time. All we can do in response is offer them contact information for them to reach out to the offices themselves to complain, knowing that will achieve nothing except provide the party complaining with proof that we are not lying about or exaggerating the situation. I know I speak for all the title companies in the area when I say that we welcome any assistance council can provide in improving the situation with Northampton County records.
So to answer Lisa's letter,
I
I got
didn't say it
I
was
no,
Lisa.
I got the same.
Okay, well, I thought that she deserved some anonymity.
No, that's fine. June 2nd of 2021, I actually responded to her answering all of those things. As of today, the cover date for Northampton County is July 14th. To be clear, that cover date just means that all recorded documents are indexed, specifically indexed. Every document that is received by Northampton County is recorded and placed into our system within 24 hours of it being received. That means it is also checked by the GIS to meet the meets and bounds. There is not one closing that has not happened in Northampton County because of anything with the Recorder of Deeds office. Let me repeat that again and be very clear. There is not one closing that has been delayed because of any issue related to the Recorder of Deeds office. Everybody can get the title insurance they need, and when the title searchers come in, if the cover date is, say, July 14th, they actually have to do a little bit more due diligence. They work with our staff to make sure that any documents did not come in, like SAP pieces or anything like that, prior to them issuing the title insurance for said property. Now, when I say documents are received within 24 hours and the cover date, most mortgage companies have a 60-day buffer period, that if the cover date is within 60 days of the closing, they're okay to go forward with it. They get assurances from us and that type of situation, so that's not an issue. What we are specifically looking for, especially with some of the warehouses and the larger subdivisions, when we record and index said properties, we need to make sure that that indexing number is correct, that the names are spelled correctly, and that everything is accurate. Because once we close out the index, opening it up causes a whole bunch of issues with regard to doing a proper title search. So an index number may change, or someone's title search of a property. If an index number changes, it could be one on one title and one on another. So we're very, very careful down in that office to make sure that that is the situation. As for the tax certifications do not come from the Recorder of Deeds office. That is the department. Yeah, that's the Department of Revenue. Now, we give every tax certification here in Northampton County a raised seal. We make sure the document is official. We just don't let it languish online. Primarily because if we post a property or interest is added after a tax certification is going to be issued, we check the closing date. So nobody who closes on a property in Northampton County gets a surprise tax bill after they close, which shows that they're going to be getting an interim bill, meaning that everything is closed at the closing table. So when we issue that tax certificate, we can tell the title searcher or the person requesting the tax certification that this tax certification is good through X date. Therefore, there's no interest added to the taxes if there are any taxes that are past due to be paid at the closing table, or any interim bills, say if a permit had to be pulled to do work to actually get a clean CO to close on the property. So those are the reasons that our processes are in place here in Northampton County. We run a very, very tight ship. I understand it can be frustrating sometimes, specifically with mortgage lenders and people wanting everything yesterday. I think one of the big problems is with companies who provide the financing, banks, title insurance companies and the like. Ms. Zirinsky, you just closed on a house. There's a lot of back and forth between a lot of parties, none of which is the county. We have all our records, they're recorded within 24 hours. And Ms. Zirinsky, when you purchased your house and you recorded that deed, you will be happy to know that what we did was when that deed came in through the e-filing service, there's a person on the second floor that checks every one of those filings. They check every one of those filings to make sure it meets the meets and bounds, matches what's on the GIS file, which is communicated to the cities for taxing, all the municipal taxing bodies, including the school districts, as well as emergency management services, so they know what kind of buildings you have on your property, how to access your property, where the closest fire hydrant is, et cetera, et cetera.
And I could say that I did receive a copy of my title, and I've also received 2 different tax bills already, so
Yeah.
I know it's gotten done.
Yes. So that is an explanation. This individual from Liberty Abstract Company in Bethlehem actually has contacted me before. I have been in touch with her. I've given her a letter explaining this exact situation. And she had contacted me over the pandemic. And I want to say for the Recorder of Deeds staff, one of the things we did when the courthouse was shut down and nobody could come in, there were a bunch of plans that were sitting with the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission that had closings, that needed new parcel numbers, that needed splits. Kyle Weir from our GIS department, Andrea Suter from the Recorder of Deeds office, and myself had people drop plans off at our houses. We brought them in here to get them title numbers. If people called our office and they could not get in here not knowing what to do, we actually made sure that we couried their documents around. Sometimes we went to offices and had people put them outside so we could get them. We went above and beyond. And I had explained this to this company, as well as said, I will help you with anything. Our office stands ready to help you with anything you need. But this is one person who has mentioned this. This is the second time they have mentioned it. And I can tell you no closing has been delayed in Northampton County because of anything in this building from Revenue or the Recorder of Deeds office.
So thank you for that explanation. And my question and reason for bringing it up is that they did share the Pennsylvania board dates week of July 19th, and it did state that Northampton County was back to 5/16/23 as of that week. So you're telling me they're to July 14th as of today, correct?
Yes,
So
that was
that's a
as
month
of
behind.
today.
And my reason in bringing it up is, constituent writes you a letter. I don't know anything about this. This is not my world. But to see, is there help needed down there? Is there concern? Because I don't think somebody takes their time to write a letter like that and as explicitly and send it to one of us just to be a pain. And obviously, they do see a concern. So the point was not to have you be defensive, it was say, do you need help? Do they need help there? Do they need personnel? Was somebody out? Because
This is the only complaint like this that we've had. Our office has gone above and beyond, and it was addressed back in 2021, the exact same complaint
so.
in writing, and I had a telephone conversation with the person.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, Ms. Zirinsky.
In that letter that woman wrote, or that individual, whatever, she stated that she spoke for all abstract companies, did she not?
Let me get the exact letter.
I mean, I thought I heard that.
I heard that too.
So I'm just wondering, who is this individual that feels that they can speak for all the abstract? Do they have like some sort of,
I don't know if they're part of a consortium or anything.
that's what I'm asking.
I don't know.
Or if they have some
Again, I wanted
authority.
to keep some anonymity because I had questions about the process.
well, I didn't say
And
the
again, I
person's
saw
name.
the thing, and I could send it to the rest of you, but, she sent me this cover sheet that clearly shows that Northampton is like the last in the state as of that date. And so, what do I know? I thought it was appropriate to bring it up and ask the question, because again, if we're having staffing issues, let's help with the staffing issues.
Yeah, I'm just asking about the individual who wrote the letter to find
I don't
out
know.
if they have
I don't
some
know if
sort
she's part of
of
a consortium, I don't know.
authority on a board that they speak for, that there's a larger issue to address.
To clarify that, that cover date that she's talking about. And this office traditionally, going all the way back to prior to home rule, they don't advance the cover date here. It's been a long-standing tradition. They do not advance the cover date until the indexing is all done. Our title searchers and folks that call in on the phone from all over the country will actually ask questions, ask about information, and we always have the information that is e-filed in our system within 24 hours. People can access that if they have and pay for the Landex system online. That is a vendor that we use to record all these documents. While those documents might not be indexed, they are referenced by date. So you can see them, you can see that this document has been accepted, recorded, and comports to all the meets and bounds on the property. It is just not yet indexed under the buyer's name, seller's name, or entity's name that is transferring the property. So that's why we don't move the cover date, primarily because of Northampton County. We have been hit with lots of large subdivisions in areas like Bethlehem Township. At the Schrin TIF site, obviously, we are subdividing, re-subdividing, and moving things around with regard to the development plan there. And we make sure that all of our parcel numbers, once they're issued, are in the system with the proper meets and bounds, so that every document that comes in and is recorded thereafter meets those meets and bounds, and we can ensure good title when the title searchers come in and look for that information.
Anybody else got any other questions?
Right?
Thank you for that in-depth conversation, Mr. Barron. With that said, the motion to adjourn.
Now we will be, yeah.
We are adjourned.
Oh, super awesome. So, did you talk to this person?
He came up to speak under public comment.
And what'd he say?
Basically, same